Did you know that people are spending hundreds, even thousands of dollars buying CDs to add to their collection? Hi there, my name is Aaron, and this year I've posted a few videos highlighting rare and obscure CDs that have sold at high prices. But today I want to focus on 10 CDs that sold from artists we most likely will recognize, because that means, who knows, maybe we have one of these CDs in our collection. But if not, this video will show us what to look for when we're out thrifting or even shopping at our local record store. I think we'd all agree it'd be fun to buy a CD that turned out to be worth a lot of money. So let's look at these recent eBay sales to see what's fetching big money in the collectible CD marketplace. The first CD on our list today sold for $432. That's from the band Badfinger. The album is straight up. Now, the reason why this sold for so much money is because this is the MFSL Master Recording 24 karat gold CD. These were released by a company called DCC Compact Classics from 1986 to 2001. Then that company turned into Audio Fidelity. And both of those have long gone out of business. And this CD was released in 1995. And because these companies are out of business, this is officially out of print. So you're not going to find this reissued in the same packaging or on this 24 karat gold CD. Now, this is an audiophile product, which is why it's selling for $430 rather than the $399 you might find the regular CD at your local record store for Badfinger. But keep an eye out when you're shopping for these gold CDs. A lot of record stores are sort of hip to their collectability now, so they're priced accordingly. But who knows, you might stumble on one for a great price, and it turned out to be worth $432. Now, I told you at the beginning we would recognize some of these bands, and this one I recognize and am surprised it's on this list. Creed, My Own Prison. This CD had to have sold millions of copies, and if I ever see it in a store, there's no way I pick it up. But that changes today. This CD sold for $400. And when I first looked at it, I thought, why in the world would this disc be so collectible? That is, until I looked close at the bottom left-hand corner here and noticed that the record label wasn't Wind Up Records, which is the band that the label that Creed was signed to when they sold millions of albums. This was actually called Blue Collar Records, so it's basically a self-released album, and according to the description here, only 6,000 copies were ever made. So this is the independent release of My Own Prison before it was released by Wind Up, and that's why it's collectible. So from here on out, whenever I see My Own Prison in a record store or thrift store, I'm going to pick it up and check for that label and see if maybe I got lucky and found the independent version. I think a lot of us were sad to hear the news that Ozzy Osbourne passed away recently. And obviously, whenever that happens, values increase as people start buying things from those artists that recently passed away. But this one sold for $445. This is Ozzy's 1991 release of No More Tears. Now, the reason why this sold, and you will know this if you've watched any of my previous videos about CD sales, is because it's still in the original long box packaging, which is still sealed and still even has the great hype sticker. This was how you would have originally bought the album in 1991. And for some reason, somebody bought this and kept it sealed, never opened it, and just sold it for $445. Now, of course, Ozzy was more than the solo artist. He was also the frontman for the legendary band Black Sabbath, so they're going to see a bump in sales too. This CD sold for $335, the original 1987 CD release of Paranoid in the original long box, still unopened. I just love the design of this CD with the Black Sabbath and the Paranoid above the little box of the CD design. I actually love the blue compact disc logo at the top. This just screams 1980s when CDs were first released. This is how I remember buying them. Now, what's interesting about this is the seller says that they've been the only owner and that they own many unopened CDs in their original long boxes, which I find fascinating. The idea that somebody bought these and kept them sealed and still have them, I don't know. I think that's awesome. The first thing I did when I got home, I ripped that long box off and threw it away and started listening to the CD. So it's incredible that this person kept as many as they did. And I guess it's really paid off for them with this CD selling at $335. This next band on our list is one of my favorites, and my sons and I just saw them in concert a couple months ago. and it was a great show. That's the Deftones, whose CD Around the Fur sold for $325. Now, what makes this special is that it's a promo copy of their 1997 album Around the Fur. But what makes it even more special is there are promo copies of this album that exist. This is an alternative artwork to the artwork that was on those promo copies. Now, I did look this up on Discogs, and someone's trying to sell one of these. There's only one available for sale at $500. So people seem to be paying high money for these. But what I find interesting about this is something I think you could stumble on in a record store and somebody not be aware that it's actually an alternative artwork to the original promo version. Just slap a few bucks on it and you could buy this and have a great, valuable CD in your collection. Now, what I love about this is that the person who sold this has had this since 1997. They were an employee in a record store, and they've had it since then because it was probably given to them in 1997 as an employee, and they held on to it. And hey, after all these years, it's now become worth a lot of money. Kudos to them. At this point in the video, I just want to remind you, if you're interested in buying CDs to add to your collection, I actually have an online store that sells CDs through Discogs. Discogs is not a sponsor of this video. I just prefer to sell my CDs through their platform there. You can go search through CDs. I have new and used. Unfortunately, I don't have any CDs selling at the prices that these CDs have sold, but I do occasionally find some rare CDs and will have them for sale there. But I also just have great reissue new copies at a great price that you can buy and add to your collection. If you click the first link in the pinned comment of this video, it will take you to my store. Anything you buy there simply helps support my business and this channel. Thanks. This next band may not be familiar for a lot of you, but it kind of is a personal one for me, so I wanted to include it here. The band is called Third Day, and their CD sold for $322 with 19 bids on eBay. Now, the reason why this is special for me is because Third Day was a Christian rock band, and one of my first jobs was working as an on-air DJ at a Christian radio station. I couldn't even drive to the radio station. My mom would have to drop me off, and for some reason, they would put me on the air. Probably because I was making $5 an hour working a $6 shift. I made just barely enough money each month to pay my car insurance. But I remember when Third Day came on the scene, it was something so fun and refreshing. They kind of sounded like Hootie and the Blowfish in the secular market. And it was just more refreshing than playing what we always played from stuff like Dallas Home or Sandy Patty. No disrespect, but these guys, Jars of Clay, were fun to play. And so this one's kind of personal for me. It was fun to see it. This is supposedly their second release. That there was only 1,000 copies made of this version, and that's between cassettes and CDs. And what makes this one even more valuable is that it's still sealed. Somebody put this up for bid, 19 bids, $322. It was fun to see Third Day on this list. Took me back and reminded me of my high school days working as a radio station DJ. Some of you may know, but I live in the Nashville area. I've been here for over 30 years now, since graduating college. And I remember when this next band blew up out of nowhere. And it was really cool to see because Nashville's known for country music, and finally a rock band kind of exploded out of our scene. That band is Paramore. And this CD sold for $499.99, basically $500. Now, this is a rare self-released EP that came out in 2006. And according to the description, this was released when they were on the 2006 Warped Tour. I remember the Warped Tour. I went 2002, I think. I saw Rancid, which was a great show. So I missed this Warped Tour, but they made this self-released EP. There's only 4 songs on this, but the thing that jumps out to me the most is track 3 is a song called Stuck on You, which is actually a cover version from one of my favorite bands from the 90s called Failure. It's from their album Fantastic Planet. And Paramore's cover version of this is really great. It used to only be available basically on YouTube, but now you can actually find it on Spotify. If you've never heard it, go check it out. But the rarity of this version, and here's a shot of the CD copy of it as well, just the fact that this was self-released just for the Warped Tour, only has 4 songs, and one of them being this great legendary cover. Paramore fans absolutely love this song. I think is what drove the price up on this. Again, I think this is another CD you could potentially stumble on in a record store, so keep your eyes peeled. Okay, I had to put this one in there because when I saw what the price it sold for and what the band was, it made me laugh, and I was like, I gotta put this in my list. That's Iron Maiden, who sold a CD for $666. This is the kind of humor that I like. I one time sold a metal CD. It was selling for around 70 bucks, and I thought it would be funny just to sell it at $66.66. And it sold like within 30 minutes. It sold so fast. So whoever put this up for $666, I get it. I think it's funny. This is Power Slave. Evidently, this is a rare first press from EMI that was released in West Germany, and it comes with a rare sticker. Again, I just think it's hilarious that it sold for $666. It's probably rare if you're in the States that you're going to stumble on this version in a thrift store or even a record store, but kudos to this seller. 666 bucks absolutely cracked me up, and I just had to make sure it was included in this list. The highest price I want to point out today is almost $1,300, and that's for Guns N' Roses Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, again, in the sealed long box from their original release date in 1991. I absolutely remember when they released both of these albums, and they're classics. But I gotta know from you, if you're a Guns N' Roses fan, which one do you prefer the most? Do you like Use Your Illusion 1 or 2? I grew up the most listening to 2, so I tend to lean towards that one, but that's because there was no way in my conservative household, remember I worked at a Christian radio station, that I was going to be allowed to buy these. So the only thing I had was a dubbed cassette copy that my cousin gave me of Use Your Illusion 2, and I've never heard such filthy language in my entire life. I mean, I was just listening to it on my headphones, going like this, thinking, I hope no one else can hear this. Again, CDs in these long boxes, they just sell for a lot of money. Keep your eye out for them if you're shopping. But what's funny about this is this seller actually has a copy of these that is not sealed. Each of these, see here, if you look right here, he's selling Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 both in the long box, but they're not sealed. But they still have the original CD with them. Look at the difference in price. $40 for Use Your Illusion 1, $45 for Use Your Illusion 2. Does that mean people like Use Your Illusion 2 like me more than 1? I don't know. Let me know in the comments below, and don't tell me Appetite for Destruction is your favorite Guns N' Roses album. That's a lazy answer. If you had to choose between 1 or 2, which one are you going with? And if you have a sealed long box copy of these, you might want to consider selling them now. I've been in a huge rabbit hole lately listening to the band Talk Talk, and I've been finding their CDs cheap, and I've been picking them up because their vinyl copies in my area are selling for like $40 or more, and I'm finding the CDs for $5 or less. However, I did not find this version of Spirit of Eden, which sold for $300. Now, the reason why this sold for so much money is because this is the SACD version of Spirit of Eden that was released in 2003. SACDs generally fetch a higher price, but keep your eye out in your local record store because sometimes people don't know and they misprice these thinking they're the regular CD. A lot of the stores I'm going to have kind of become hip to the fact that these sell for more money, but oftentimes they'll put 30 bucks on them and you can still see that they sell for a lot more online. So keep your eye out for them. Usually what you want to look for is down here in the bottom left-hand corner, there's this logo that's circled for DSD. Now, SACD, this is a hybrid CD, so it can play in a CD player and in a high-end SACD player. Audiophiles tend to be the collectors of these and pay more money for these. So this one sold for $300. Now, again, SACD is supposed to sound better than regular CDs. I went on a journey to figure out if that was really true, and it was very, very frustrating. If you'd like to learn more about my journey trying to play SACDs in my sound system at home to determine if they really did sound better than regular CDs, you can watch me go through that experience by clicking on this video here.